Hello, welcome again to FairTax Power Radio. I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Ron Molero.
And we are the FairTax guys. And if you'd like to get one of these little goodies, you can get it at the FairTax logo store, okay? Let's get that little plug in right away.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about the logo store later.
We are coming to you live from Big Daddy Studios in Gainesville, Florida. It is just after 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time on December the 5th. So if your clock and your calendar correspond with what we're just saying here, you are watching the live version here on our official Facebook page. Also on excluded.tv. It's a good place to go if you'd like to see some of the content that the major social media platforms are censoring and excluding from their platforms. Then you can go check out Excluded TV. It's a very nominal subscription fee, $30 a year to do that. Well worth it. You can see the FairTax guys, you can see Ward Scott, you can see John Martin, you can see a lot of good programming on excluded.tv. Hope that you'll check that out. That's your cue to say something.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, today's program is all about you, all right? We've decided to, we've asked for comments and questions over Facebook and some of the other social media sites. And I also went back through a number of our previous programs because you can leave comments all the time. I mean, today's program is live, and next week's we're also going to record next week's. That will be pre-recorded, but the comments are live. So we get some great questions, comments, suggestions, from our listeners, our viewers, and so forth. And so this is all about you, folks. And I've printed out a few of them here.
Okay. We're getting a note here that says the audio is a bit low, so those back in the control room might be able to kick the audio up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
All right. So Maurice Yoder says it's 27 degrees and sunny in Oregon. Well, it's not quite that cold, but it's sunny here in Florida as well. So good morning, Maurice. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
Ron, look at your box and turn it on, it says.
Look at my box and turn it on.
Your microphone box here.
Oh.
It does help if you turn the microphone on.
Oh, it was.
Oh, the beauties of live television. Sometimes that happens. So.
Oh, there's a little green light. Is that better?
All right, that's better. Now I can hear you.
Okay, well, I could hear myself just fine.
All right. So now that we have our little technical glitches taken care of, let's go ahead and invite people to send us comments and questions at thefairtaxguys@gmail.com is our email address. Of course, you can leave a comment or a question on the FairTax Guys Facebook page, and we'll be happy to get back to you. And I say, when you said you were going to put out a call for comments and questions, I said, well, we've done that before. No, didn't get a whole lot of response. This time we actually got some pretty good stuff. So let's dive right in here. Tell you what. I will feed you the questions.
Okay.
And you can answer them. Are you ready?
All right.
We'll give credit from where they came from. Brent Coffin left this on the FairTax official Facebook page, saying, knowing what the government's still going to do what it pleases, do y'all believe the FairTax will reduce the perceived incentive on tariffs and in so help eliminate them?
Absolutely. All right. Take a look at what we have now. We have an income tax that, because of the compliance costs, raises the cost of doing business and producing products and services anywhere from 20 to 30%. And that cost is added to the cost of the product, say, when it goes overseas, whether it's sold here in the country or whether it goes overseas. That's an embedded cost that, due to the inefficiencies of this current tax system, is there, and there's nothing you can do about it. So what happens on the other side, when products come from other countries into the U.S., most of the other countries have a VAT tax. And that is, well, I call it a production tax. We're not going to get into that. But when they ship it offshore, off of their shore to us, their government strips the VAT tax off. So we are at a distinct disadvantage. Our companies have to deal with this horrible tax system in which these embedded costs are in there. They can't do anything about it. That goes overseas. That raises the cost of their products, whereas their products, when they come into us, all right, under this current system, their VAT tax is stripped off. They have a huge advantage over us. So, and that's why, and this president really likes tariffs, and there's, the jury's still out on that. But anyways, with the fair tax, that completely levels the playing field. First off, the fair tax is collected here in this country by the final consumer. The final consumer pays for it, all right? Not the companies. All right, so it reduces the cost of doing business, whether they sell it here or whether they sell it overseas. Now, when their product comes here under the FairTax, when their product comes here, when the final consumer pays for it, they pay the FairTax. So it really levels the playing field between our companies and foreign companies.
All right. I tell you what, we're getting some comments on our Facebook live video feed here. And so, yes, we have a technician digging down there. We're working on Ron's microphone a little bit. But we've got a whole list of questions that we came in from other things. But let's go ahead and take the live ones as well as we can. So, I said your mic dropped. Okay, we'll work on it. Paul Seitz wants to know, what I want to know is how do we get our government officials to make this happen? I'm tired of them stealing our tax dollars with the current tax system.
Okay, am I on?
I think so.
Okay, I just got new batteries, so I should be much better. Yeah.
There's your problem. All right, so we're good. So tackle Paul's question. How do we get this to happen?
That is the $64 question. All right, there are several ways that we can do it. It's going to take all of you hammering your Congress critters. Now, next month, we have a new Congress, the 116th Congress. All the members of the House have to be sworn in again. There's one third of the Senate was up for re-election or election, so we're going to have some new people there. It's incumbent upon everybody in this country, everybody listening, and everybody you know of who's not listening, get them to contact their congressman and make sure that, and keep contacting them. Letters, emails, phone calls to their offices, and make sure that they know that you expect them to co-sponsor the FairTax. H.R. 25 in the House. We don't know what the number will be in the Senate because that changes every 2 years. But it will be H.R. 25 in the House. So, for one thing, the citizens across this great land have to contact their representatives, their member of the House and their 2 senators, and make sure that they understand. And you have to get other people on board with you and contacting them. Again, through phone calls, through emails, attend their town hall meetings. The other thing is that the organizations, like, Bob and I are members of the Florida FairTax Educational Association. We're going to do something here in Florida. I'm not sure what. We're going to talk to the board. We're going to have a board meeting over the phone here in next month, and we're going to decide what to do. But everybody needs to do that in all 50 states, all right? Get your association together, figure out what to do. Maybe you can send out press releases. Maybe you can do videos. I mean, there's all kinds of ideas. We got 50 states. We got 50 different kinds of ideas. All right, so it's going to take us getting across. And I'm going to promote something that we haven't talked about much here, and that is, for me, the Convention of States. All right, that's a separate issue, but I think the Convention of States and the FairTax work hand in glove. All right, and that's a good way, because when the Convention of States repeals the 16th Amendment, the FairTax will be the only game in town.
All right. We need to move on. We got a lot of stuff to cover, and
okay.
We'll remind people that we are on live here. If your clock says 11:39 Eastern Time, and December the 5th, we are on live. If you've got a comment or a question you'd like to throw into the program, we'll take that as well. 888-787-8023 is the number. They may pop it up on the screen here in just a second, but it's 888-787-8023 if you've got a comment or a question that you'd like the FairTax guys to tackle this morning. And there's another one here that Al Rothman gave us on the FairTax guys Facebook inbox. There's the number for you if you'd like to give us a call. It's kind of along the same lines. He says, I'm very interested in the FairTax. Wish that more people would get interested too. Politicians have not responded to my questions about this consumption tax plan. Gee, I wonder why. Therefore, it must be good for the people. Right on, Al. I think you got it. But we need this plan. We need them to vote it into law, and those that support it, so it can be discussed and hopefully voted into law.
Yeah, and that, he's absolutely right. That indicates on the part of some of the politicians, not all of them. We have some good co-sponsors, and not only co-sponsors, but I'm lucky enough to be in a district in which my congressman not only co-sponsors the FairTax, but he's an active advocate of it, all right? Not all of them are like that. But yeah, there's some people that don't like the fair tax because what does it do? It takes the lobbyists out of the picture. The fair tax is kind of like ironclad, you know? Mm-hmm. When the fair tax passes, that's it. There's no addendums and updates and constant. Well, how many? I forgot to look today, but there's over 1,600 proposals to change the tax code. Yeah, we must be approaching 1,700 here in the waning days of 2018. Almost 2,000 proposals to change the tax code, and most of those are accompanied by nice contributions to their campaign coffers. All right, because Mr. Congressman, if you support this proposed change to the tax code, we'll make sure that there's a nice contribution to your campaign fund. And it's a terrible situation. That goes away with the fair tax.
Yes.
So we need to keep hammering these people. And again, it comes back to the grassroots, the people watching and your friends and so forth. Just make sure that everybody starts hammering their congressman.
All right, let me toss another question at you. This is another one from Brett. He says, will the fair tax get rid of the federal sin taxes, a.k.a. the excise taxes on cigarettes and things like that?
Short answer, no. Those are separate taxes. In fact, we got an email from one of our experts, Karen Walby, and she is a board member not only in the Florida group but of the national group too, and she's our director of research. And she said, no, it won't. Those are separate issues. Those are consumption taxes, by the way. And they're put in place. The fair tax will not compete with them. They might tweak the fair tax bill so that they make some accommodations so there's not double taxation. That's possible. But the short answer, again, like I said, is no, it doesn't get rid of those.
Yeah, Carrie Bowers addressed this as well, too.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah.
That's your cue to go to the next page and check out what he's got on it.
Yeah, that's right. Kerry Bowers is in Nevada. Oh, he sent me an email and said he had other stuff to do. He won't be able to join us today. Okay. Imagine that. He's apologizing for not being with us.
Well, that's okay. Yeah. We'll give him a pass.
No, the fair tax legislation does not replace any excise taxes or any other taxes. Excise taxes are, he gives the code and everything. He said, the question then, will the fair tax be on top of the excise taxes applied? The answer at the moment is yes, because that is the consequence. Because, you have other taxes on top of the excise taxes. You have the income tax that you're saddled with on top of the excise taxes. So that can be worked out. But at the moment, it will not replace them.
Okay, here's one from Daryl Earl. He left this on the Fair Tax official Facebook page. Says, all right, got one, guys. Say you're a builder. You buy most of your building materials from a building supply company at wholesale, no tax, right? But some of the material you buy from Home Depot, a retailer, that material is taxed. Will Home Depot be able to sell either way, as a retailer tax to a consumer or as a wholesaler to another business? When the house is sold, the total tax will be embedded in the final sale. That's a good question.
That's right, yeah. And the answer is yes. If you're a contractor and you're buying these supplies, we have a project going on in our house right now, which seems to be going on forever. But anyways,
that's been going on a while, hasn't it?
Yeah. More one delay after another. But yeah, the contractor buys these things. They're going to charge us a total price. The cabinets and all the materials going into doing this project of theirs. And no, if they have to go to Home Depot or Lowe's or one of those places, they get from their state. Now we're talking. It'll be the same with the fair tax, but currently. Most states have a sales tax, and they get I'm trying to think.
Exemption we get for the
church.
They
get an exemption card. They get a tax number. They get a tax number, and when they go to those stores and buy something that's that is part of the job that they're on, they will not pay the sales tax. But when they sell the final job, when the whole job is done, and we pay for it, it will include the sales tax. So, business-to-business purchases are not taxed under the fair tax, even if a contractor goes to Home Depot. Now, if Bob and I go to Home Depot and try to say, oh, no, I'm a contractor, no.
They'll ask you for your tax number.
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
Have one.
You've got to be cleared by your state tax. The same thing will happen with the fair tax. If you're a contractor, you will not be responsible for paying the fair tax on the stuff you need need to do your job, but the final consumer will pay for it.
Question from Beth Fraser. I would like to know the reasoning for each member of Congress for not sponsoring the bill.
So would we.
Oh, that's the $64,000 question, Beth. We need to get on your Congress critters and make them do it.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to the last one. I mean, yeah, it is, you know, as we always say at the end of the show, when you understand it, you'll demand it. So why don't these people take the time? And you'll hear people in Congress make foolish statements about the fair tax. Oh, it hurts the poor. Oh, it won't provide the government with enough money. Well, you know what, Mrs. Congressman, do your homework and find out about it. Because, you know, once they do learn about it, I think they're going to love it.
Indeed.
They may not admit that they love it.
Once you understand it, you'll demand it.
Yeah, although they may not admit it, but they will love it.
All righty, got one from a regular listener here, Sandy Goodell, says, mention please that the tax only applies to new items and how that affects purchasing.
Oh, that's very important, all right? There's no double taxation with the fair tax. You buy a car, you buy a brand new car, yes, you'll pay the fair tax, all right? But then let's say you have...
A new car being one that hasn't been previously owned. If it's last year's model but nobody's bought it yet, that's still a new car.
Exactly, yeah. Whether it's a new car, a pair of jeans, you know, at Walmart or whatever. If it's a brand new product that nobody else has purchased before, you will pay the fair tax. Well, let's go back to the car. So you keep the car 5 or 6 years and you decide to get another one. And you decide, you know what, I can sell this car and get more for it than what they'll give me on trade-in. So that's what I'm going to do. When you sell it to somebody else because it's used, no fair tax. That purchaser is not responsible for paying the fair tax because you did it when it was new and it won't be taxed again. That has a huge benefit to the working poor, all right, the people who are just getting by. They don't have to buy a new car. When their old car goes belly up and they have to get another car, they don't have to get a new one and pay the fair tax. They can legally avoid the fair tax by buying a used vehicle. Huge benefit.
Absolutely. Something here from George Allen said, send a copy of the proposal to every conservative and libertarian running and ask them to have a stand on it and support it. I would add that there's a lot of things in the fair tax that the Democrats would like too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there is. And we're going to spend more time on that in the next episode, aren't we?
A little bit, yes. That's going to be fun.
When you consider that the prebate renders the people who are living right at the poverty level, you know, for a family of four, it's about, I got my little prebate card in front of me. It's, $32,900 and just under $33,000, okay? If that family of four is earning just enough to get by, to buy food, clothing, and pay the rent or pay the mortgage and so forth, all right, yes, they will pay the fair tax on the stuff they're buying, but they're also going to get the prebate that will reimburse them for the fair tax on the basic necessities up to the poverty level. So they're going to have a huge benefit here. So it's going to be a great benefit for them.
Question on our live video feed from Bill Aikman. Can you explain the value-added tax systems like they have in Europe and how the fair tax differs from the VAT?
Yeah. The value-added tax, and I don't want to spend too much time, I call it a stealth tax. Value-added means in the process of producing a product, let's use a car again, you dig the iron ore out of the ground and you refine it and make iron out of it. You've added value to it. A tax is added. You take that iron and you mix it with some carbon and make steel. You've added value to it. A tax is added to it. You make that steel into fenders and shapes and frames and so forth. You've added value to it. A tax is added to it. A value-added tax is a tax on every step of the production. Tremendous paperwork. Oh, huge record-keeping costs, all right? And so in a way, it is a consumption tax because then it's added to the cost of the product and the consumer pays for it. But the complication of keeping up with the value-added tax, and plus the government can say, oh, well, you know what? We don't want that value-added tax for this particular product because we think this is necessary for everybody. So they start messing around with it. It has the same problems with the current income tax. But that is a value-added tax. The fair tax is much simpler. The consumer pays the fair tax when they buy a new product or pay for a service. That's it. It's very simple. Gets rid of most of the compliance costs of the horrible income tax we have now. The fair tax is so much simpler and so much more efficient than the value-added tax. So if you hear somebody, some congressman in this country talking about the value-added tax, you need to shut them down right away, because that's a terrible idea.
All right, let's move on here. Excuse me. Quick question from Brian Moore. Says, where does President Trump stand on this? I would think he would be the best chance to get this really enacted. I've already written his office multiple times over this real tax reform.
And that's good. And we applaud you for doing that. There is a way that everybody can get a message to President Trump. whitehouse.gov/contact. whitehouse.gov/contact. And you can, it's very simple. You have to give them all your information, because obviously they want to know who's sending a message to the president. Mm-hmm. But you can encourage the president, and you can do this every day. This is just not a one and done. All right, you can do this every single day, and encourage President Trump to go with the fair tax. Yeah. Vice President Pence was a co-sponsor of the fair tax while he was in Congress. I believe that was 12 years. All right, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Mike Huckabee's daughter. Mike Huckabee ran twice for president, ran on the fair tax both times. There are other members of his administration that, when they were in Congress or the Senate, were co-sponsors of the fair tax. He is surrounded by fair tax people. Now, obviously, I haven't talked to the president myself. How about you?
And I'm not sure that he's taken a public stand on the fair tax one way or the other, but he does know about it.
Yeah.
And Brian's right. We're going to have to get somebody with a bully pulpit the size of the one he's got,
yes,
to get this into the discussion. As we've said many, many times, once the fair tax is a serious part of the discussion, game over.
Yeah, yeah. Because even the media seems to be avoiding the fair tax. I don't know what it is with them, but they seem to be married to the current system too. So,
all right,
yeah.
Let's move along here. A.M. Kemplin had a question. Says, many people assume that the rich will simply not spend, thereby avoiding the fair tax. That's a big concern. It doesn't punish the wealthy enough.
Yeah. And that punish the wealthy, that seems to be a theme with some people. All right.
I think that's a faulty assumption. I think if you got money, you're going to spend it.
Yeah, exactly. So is somebody who's wealthy, somebody who, I don't know, made it in business and they have an income of $1 million a year, they're going to go out and buy a used Chevy or a used Ford? Or are they going to buy a new Mercedes? All right? What do you think?
I think I'd rather have a new Learjet. I got to work Learjets in somehow.
Yes. Wealthy people are going to spend. Now, they may not spend every single penny they make in a year.
Most of them don't.
But that's none of their business. I mean, my wife and I put money in savings.
They'll save and invest the rest, and that helps the economy.
Exactly. So, no, the new people are not going to suddenly become hermits and stop buying stuff. That's not reasonable. That's not rational, okay? The wealthy people are still going to spend, and if they have the means, they'll spend more. And when they spend more under the fair tax, they'll pay more fair tax. It's that simple.
That's true. But a tax system is not supposed to punish anybody.
Yeah.
It's just supposed to collect in the fairest manner possible enough revenue to run the government, period.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem. People wanting to use the tax code to punish this group or, help this group. That's not what the tax code's all about.
Yep. That's right. And there are way too many people in Congress that are using the tax code and the IRS as a weapon. We need to take that weapon, that capability away from them. We, the people, need to bring back the power to us.
All right, we got to get, time's moving along. We got to get this little in from our buddy Kerry Bowers, even though he's tied up today and not watching the program today. Show me a supporter of consumption-based taxes, and you'll see someone that would be applauded by the nation's founding fathers. Show me a supporter of income-based taxes, and I'll show you someone who would be despised by the founding fathers, but welcomed by Karl Marx. Right on, brother.
Yeah. What can I add to that? It's absolutely right. The fair tax is the tax system of the people.
All right. Mark R. Smith, can you explain how the fair tax delineates between sales tax and use tax for businesses? How are items for resale taxed?
And this is similar to the other question. The use tax as well. Let me read Kerry's response, because when it gets into the weeds like that, as a former high school science teacher, Kerry has a much better handle on it. All right. Businesses will have a registered seller certificate that makes sales to business tax exempt. That's what we talked about before.
Earlier with the Home Depot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Used items sold by a commercial business do not have the tax on them. You know, it's a used item. But any additions to the price, so in other words, if a car dealer gets a used car, all right, they don't have to, and resells it, they don't have to charge the sales tax on it. But if they add this tremendous sound system to it, or if they make some other improvement and invest some money into that used product, they have to charge the fair tax on any improvements they made to that vehicle. So that's what it is. So a used product by itself, no fair tax. All right, a used product that's been enhanced in some way and money has been invested, the investment part has to be taxed. Okay. But like we said with the other question, business to business purchases will not be subject to the fair tax.
Okay, let's get one more in here from Alice Smith. One of my libertarian friends says the fair tax will ruin the country. The prices will skyrocket. 22% isn't enough. I don't see it that way. Look how income taxes have skyrocketed in other countries, for instance. Love the simplicity of the fair tax. Well, Alice has it right on.
Yeah, I mean, where does this person get the idea that it's going to ruin the country and tax prices and taxes will skyrocket? Where is she doing her research? Because I know of about over $20 million worth of research, and you can find the results of that $20 million of research by going to FairTax.org. All right, I mean, if you really like dry reading, you can read the research themselves, or at least the executive summary. But it's all there. The Americans for Fair Taxation started this idea in 1995, and it's been legislation in Congress for almost 20 years. Next month it'll be 20 years.
Yeah, every Congress since 1999.
Yep. And so they know about what the cost is, how much they should charge. They know about evasion and so forth.
That 23% rate was not just pulled out of the air.
That's right. They did a lot of research on that. So, no, it's not going to ruin the country. And prices will not skyrocket. Remember that cost of doing business is going to come down, and when they add the fair tax, it's going to go. Yeah, it might go up 5 or 10%, but the cost of doing business is going to bring it way down. So prices are not going to skyrocket, but people are going to have more disposable cash because they get their whole paycheck and they get the prebate, and they have the option of buying used stuff. The consumer is going to be in really good shape here. So, no, it's not going to hurt the country. It's going to help the country.
Absolutely. Well, if you'd like to have a question or a comment answered on a future episode of Fair Tax Power Radio, you can send it to us at the fairtaxguys@gmail.com. Leave us a comment on our Facebook page, and we'll do this again if we can gather up enough stuff. In fact, we've got a couple things left on this list. We'll just carry over to the next question and answer episode of Fair Tax Power Radio. All right, now you got about a minute and a half to talk about the logo store. Okay, well, this little item, all right, you can buy these scrolling banners, and imagine the effect when you go to your congressman's next town hall and you hold it up, and if they're not a sponsor, if they're not a co-sponsor, think, what is it about the IRS that you love, all right? Mr. Congressman, why won't you co-sponsor the fair tax, all right? So you can buy those. They have these little items, which are kind of a novelty, all right? They serve as a flashlight. They got magnets on the back. Keep that in your car, and if you ever get stuck, stick it to the hood. We've got pens. We often mention, buy a bunch of these pens. When you go out to dinner and you sign the check, leave the pen, all right? Leave the fair tax pen with some information, all right? Pins. These are very effective for getting attention. And if you want some information and you want to pass out some information, these palm cards are handy. You can buy these. You can buy shirts. You can buy hats. You can buy jackets. You can buy tote bags. There are all kinds of promotional items at the FairTaxLogoStore.org. FairTaxLogoStore.org. Yeah, there it is on the screen, right there in front of you.
Oh, yeah. There it is, yeah. Oh, I had to stop and think, a very brief senior moment. But, yeah, FairTaxLogoStore.org. please get these. They're not that expensive. Show your support for the FairTax and thereby generate support with some of your friends.
They need to make FairTax Rubik's Cube.
Oh, yeah, we got to talk about that.
Yes.
Why are these things here, Bob?
That's the income tax, that's the flat tax, that's the fair tax.
Okay, so some people say, well, we should just do a flat tax. Why don't we just do a flat tax?
Because the flat tax eventually becomes something that looks like that.
Yeah.
What a mess.
We've had these at we had them at CPAC last February, and we have them at other places. They really draw the attention that when you have these little labels out there, people look at them and they study them, and then they smile comes over their face and they nod. Yeah. Yep, that's right. Yep.
It is. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, that's going to wrap up this edition of FairTax Power Radio. Thank you so much for your input, your questions and comments. Keep them coming at the FairTaxGuys@gmail.com or on our Facebook page. We'll be with you again here next week on our Facebook page and also Excluded TV. Until then, the FairTax Guys, Bob Paxton and Ron Millever, reminding you that the fair tax is America's big solution, and once you understand it,
you'll demand it.
Oh, these income tax forms are way too complicated. There's got to be a better way. Who are you?
We're the FairTax Guys.
We've got a big solution for you.
What's that?
It's the fair tax. Completely eliminates the federal income tax system as we know it. No more withholding, no more payroll taxes, no more tax returns ever, no more IRS. All gone. And I guarantee you, once you understand it,
You'll demand it.
Yeah.
We got to get